So, guys, if you're watching on YouTube or, of course, the team, what we're doing today is we're going to do something of what I consider to be an SEO benchmarking exercise. So don't worry, the goal of today is to understand people's level. Because once you understand what people's level is, you know where you need to start from. That's why benchmarking is really important when it comes to SEO and when it comes to any department that you work upon, okay? Or that you work in and work upon. Now, if you're watching, one of the key mistakes that people make when it comes to testing is that they conduct knowledge-based testing. So knowledge-based testing is not really a sufficient way to deter, because what you're looking for when you want to benchmarking is understanding people's level, but knowledge is not actually the most important facet or access to it, because knowledge is absolutely something that can be acquired by anyone. If I go away and ask everyone to learn what a 301 redirect is, almost without exclusion, 100% of you will learn what a 301 redirect is and be able to repeat it back to me. So that's not the thing that people should be benchmarking for or testing for when it comes to talking about one's actual level and one's ability. That's one aspect of it, of course, because people learn vocabulary lists. A 301 redirect, a 404, a 510, a 5XX. There's a vocabulary list that we all need to build as part of our journey to become competent SEOs. And that's fine, but that's actually the smaller part of it. And that's what that's one of the things that I don't see come up enough in training, especially in developing economies. So where the style of education is very much rote-based. It still happens also in Western economies, but what I mean by that is where you're taught to follow a process and that's it. That's kind of the extent to what you're taught. And the limitation of that is that all of the value comes from creative and critical thinking. And that's actually the muscle that you need to build, because a process doesn't distinguish people, because, as I said, there isn't anyone who, given enough time, couldn't learn an SEO vocabulary list. So that's not going to be the difference between earning $1,000 and earning $5,000 and earning $10,000. There's no CEO or there's no SEO who's paid $5,000 a month who is paid for their knowledge of what a 404 or a 301 is. I think we'd all agree on that. So then the question is what is the skill that you need to optimize for? And what we're going to do is going to benchmark today, and we're going to do it in a way that will give us an understanding of people's ability to actually think critically because this is where the value is, when you get presented with a set of items, evidence, information, and you have to come and draw critical insight from it. And this is what came up at the weekend when I said, why has this keyword dropped? Why are we not getting the results that we want here? And it was interesting to observe people's responses. And the responses told me or gave me good insight into where our gaps are. So one of the reasons I often talk about language being so important when it comes to critical thinking, because if you don't have the words, can you think without having the words? It's an interesting thought, isn't it? Can someone think strategically if they don't have the language? Think about someone who is so language is important, because if you think about someone who is a wine critic, they literally have a completely different language when they talk about wine. They talk about the flavors and the sinews and the textures and the chocolatey expression on the edge of their tongue. Whereas I literally just say, oh yeah, it's wine. It tastes a little bit bitter, or it tastes a little bit sweet. So language limits my ability to actually talk and think critically about wine. So language is huge to one's success, because if you can't articulate critical thinking and all of the value is on the nuances, you're going to struggle. It's literally the same way that someone whose total vocabulary set is 200 words versus someone who's 800 words, when giving an opinion on something, the difference is huge, because they literally have more words to explain things. So that, as an aside note, I think is very important when it comes to being able to articulate meaning, because you're limited by the words that you use. Because how can you explain things? How can you explain your true intent, true meaning? So with that in mind, what we're going to conduct today is a critical thinking exercise. And for those of you who are watching, this is one of the key things that will help you benchmark people's ability to think critically, because there's limited value in me conducting a test of who knows what a 301 redirect is, who knows what a 4, and don't get me wrong, it's not that they're not important, it's just not, that's not going to drive the lasting value. There's no one here who's going to get double their salary because they learn. It will help because language is important, because you need the word. Oh, there's an error, Deepak. But what kind of error it is, I don't know. It's a technical error. Deepak, there's an error with a 404, and it's been generated by. So language is important, but being able to think critically about why something is happening, why might that be, will help you become really, really good and better at people, even when you don't have the appropriate language because of the way that you think. That's why I've become, I would say, a very, very good SEO without knowing so much about SEO, because I've developed my ability to think critically. So I begin to see logic and to see patterns. And that's what we want to test for. So with that in mind, what I want to do is I'm just going to ask people a series of questions. We'll answer it together in a group to begin with, and then we can go around independently, and I'll start asking people one by one. Let me just find my phone, because I've got a set of questions and things I just want to ask people. So let me go to the questions. Cool. So a recent study shows that people who drink coffee are more productive. What additional information would you need to assess the value and the truth of this claim? Who would like to go first? I'll repeat it again. A recent study shows that people who drink coffee are more productive. Evaluate any quality of evidence that you can think of, and what information would you need to assess whether this claim is valid, whether this is true or this is not true. Who would like to go first?
Howard.
Cool. Ali?
Okay, so one thing I would, yeah, I would check source, honestly.
Okay.
If source is really something that's of authority, then yeah, one point would be the source. If source is acceptable source, I would believe.
Cool.
So that's one thing that the first thing I would check.
Okay, great. Someone else give me some more insights as to what you would do. Let's go to Gulam.
Okay.
And we can check the database of the people who are drinking coffee. We can check what type of work they are doing and how they are achieving that work, whether they are doing it in perfect way or whether they are doing their work in less time. So we can check this as well, I think.
Okay. Does such a database exist? Would you think
they would have
conversation? It's a conversation, just having a dialogue here.
They would have collect the sample, so from there we can check if there would be a sample of the database, so we can check there.
Okay. So you check sample database, and what would you be checking for specifically?
How they are working, or are they working less? Are they working their task in less time, or are they doing their work accurately? As the question is, they are productive or not. So we can check how much work they are doing within the relevant time or within less time. So we can do that type of stuff.
Okay. All right. So that's the second point. We check a sample database and measure for productivity. What would be problematic about what Gulam has just said, in anyone's opinion? Why might Gulam be incorrect? Someone. Brabil, do you want to answer that? My question is, why might Gulam be incorrect? Anyone?
Because there is
Yeah.
no database.
Wait, guys. So what we want to do, just for the purpose of this, is just whoever wants to go next. I think Waleed was speaking. I know that Malcolm. Waleed, were you saying something?
Well, I don't think there will be a database of such people, like such kind of database.
Okay. So that might be one problem. Fine. What might be another problem with that? Malcolm?
I don't think there's a, sorry, I don't think there's a way that we can actually fact check how people are being, not doing their work, or what the quality of their work practically, as to the point that was made by.
Okay. So let's continue to evolve this conversation. Given the new set of information people are providing, what might then we do to assess the validity of this claim? What can we do? What additional information would we need?
I think we should check the sources.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think we should check the sources that if like research papers or we can check if there are study conducted on this. And we should check actually what element is present in that coffee actually that is making more productive to the people. And we should if we find that particular element, we should fact check with other substances if that particular element is present in them also. So if that is really increasing the productivity, I think that should be done.
Okay. And I'm missing parts of what you're saying. I'm going to put some headphones in. Okay, great. Let's go now to Waleed, and then we'll go to Ali. So thank you for that, Dinesh. Waleed?
I think we should place 10 people in a room, give them coffee 3 times and test them for a week and see how individual results go.
Okay. What are we testing for?
Like they get productive or not.
What
are their production level?
What does it mean to be productive?
Like assigning same task to the 10 people and then giving them coffee and testing them for a week, like how they go. I don't drink coffee, so I don't know how coffee kicks in. Like a week is enough or not. I don't drink coffee or tea.
Okay, so what do you need to do to assess the validity of this claim?
You mean what I have to drink?
Well, I don't know. I'm asking. It's an open question. I want to get your thinking. What we're going to do now is we're going to continue to have this discussion, but I want people to talk for a few minutes about it, to consider the different problems with all of it and the challenges and the opportunities. I want you to think about all of the possible outcomes. So let's continue. So with this, again, the question is a recent.
According to my knowledge.
Hang on, Ali. You got to listen, man. Hands up. Yeah, I understand. I'm going to come to you. I'm going to come to you. A recent study shows that people who drink coffee are more productive. Evaluate the quality of the evidence. What additional information would you need to assess whether this claim is valid or not? So let's go to Malcolm, and then let's go to Ali Rind, and then we'll go to Farman. Okay. So Malcolm, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, Deepak, you cut a little bit there. So I would want to know how big of a mug of coffee they're drinking. Are they taking sugar? And other variables like milk, sweetness, and so on to check the validity of that statement.
Okay. All right. So thank you. Who's next? I think it was Ali Rind, and then we'll go Farman. So Ali Rind, go ahead.
Yeah, coffee can protect your knowledge because they have caffeine in the coffee. When you drink caffeine, your brain active.
Okay. All right. So that's good. Farman?
Yeah, I will definitely check first of all this perspective on really what does first of all the coffee contains, and if, as Ali said that it contains caffeine, and how does this helps our immune system, and how it works, how it helps us in working. So first of all, I will read all these things, and then I will go and check, fact check about the companies that have night shifts or high productivity. Then we can just see the research if they have done, like Dinesh said, then we can just check out and fact check from these research papers who do night shifts and day shifts, and if there is a difference, and people who drink coffee and who don't drink coffee, and the productivity level we can match, and we can just have a conclusion about that.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you for that. That's good. Let's finish with Saurabh. We'll go to next because you've not spoken yet. Saurabh.
So we can go first for the resources. So then we can go for the sample data report.
Yeah.
Okay, data report. So we can give some people to have some give data to fill up the forms, like some people like caffeine with sugar, right? So if you having sugar in heavy amount, so you can't able to sorry, let me change my phrase. Okay, so let me change. So if you have more caffeine in night, so you can't able to you can't able to sleep, right? So you have more energy, or you have more have patience to work. So in my opinion, some people are different aspect, like some people like drink coffee at night, some people are not. So we can give a form data report, so we can analyze how many people are like uh, uh, we can majority we can check from that report. Yeah.
Okay. All right, fine. Let's go to Ali, and then we'll wrap there, and I'll give you guys some feedback. Go ahead, Ali.
Yeah, so for me, so this basically statement is that we need to evaluate whether it's a fact or no. Is it true or no? We need to basically check if this statement is correct or no. So again, as I said, I would check the source of it. But on top of that, I would actually ask questions, because this statement is not enough. I would ask, are you saying this is a fact? So number two, is there a consistency in this, right? I would need more data to build some grounding to really see if it's true. Obviously, I would go with critical thinking as well. I would back it up with people's research as well. If the conclusion of all the results of those is yes, it's somewhat true, I would actually kind of believe it with facts. Let's suppose I'm trying to prove a formula. I would obviously say I'm bringing A plus B equals C. I would bring the source of it. I would try to prove it using other mathematical analogies, right? So yeah, I would do that. Honestly, I would require more data from the source itself. So if you are telling me that, hey, there is such a study, I would say, okay, can you tell me how much increase are we talking about? Or is there a consistency in this increase? And what's your source? So again, it's all about, I would need input to give you output, honestly, right?
Okay, cool. All right, thank you, everybody. So the reason this has implications for how you think about SEO is because what I'm looking for is how deeply you're able to think critically about something. And that's demonstrated by how many considerations you make when you come to any conclusion. Okay? Because that's what you're looking for. How deeply are you thinking, and how many angles are you considering when you come to your outcome? So a recent study shows that people who drink more coffee or drink coffee are more productive. Okay. So first, there's some things that people said that are good, you know, thinking about the source, looking at potentially other studies, the considerations of the caffeine content. What else was there that we discussed that I've not mentioned?
Split testing.
Other statistical.
Yeah. So that's other studies. Yeah. What else was there that people mentioned that I've not discussed?
Data sets, something like that. Night and day consistency, basically, if they're working in night.
Okay.
Do the live experiment on the people.
Yeah, live experiment. Okay, great, fine. Thank you, Gulam. Malcolm, was there something else?
Yeah, I mean the time that they were productive, the content, quality in the coffee, sugar, no sweeteners.
Okay, cool. So everyone's done okay. There's about 100 things no one's considered. Number one, no one asked about the size of the sample data. Are we talking 10 people? Are we talking 10,000 people? No one considered the actual demographic of the data. Is it children? Is it adults? Is it male? Is it female? No one considered their historical caffeine tolerance. Are they heavy coffee drinkers, or have they never had coffee in their life? So caffeine sensitivity. No one considered what assumptions are going into this study. What does the study consider or define as being productive? What is productive in this study? Because that has implications for what it means to be productive. Right? So size of sample, what methodology did they use to look at the effects of caffeine? Over what period was it? Was it within 1 hour of drinking coffee? Was it 1 day of drinking coffee? What was the form of fundamentally caffeine consumption? They said actually it was coffee. Okay, so we know that it was coffee. Does time of day have an implication? So none of these things came up in anyone's comments, or if people meant it, they spoke very generally. They spoke about data sets. And of course, when we say source, who was conducting the experiment? As Ali said, was it a clinical researcher with a background in caffeine consumption, or was it someone who is a hobbyist who's just trying something at home? Was this study able to be replicated? So there's all of these questions, right, that come up. So we must practice critical thinking in order to enhance our ability to analyze anything, right? Because then you're able to come up with at least 10 different conclusions for why a keyword might have dropped. Because you're considering many and multiple sources of data. So we're going to continue with this. We're going to argue now, both sides. Okay? So Malcolm, Dinesh, Waleed, and Farman, you are all going to argue that coffee makes you more productive. Okay? Ali, Rind, Gulam, Sorav, and Reem, you're going to argue that coffee stops you from being productive. Okay? We're going to go 1 point at a time. No one can repeat points. Okay? I'll give you 30 seconds to think about your arguments. If you want to write it down or whatever you want to do. And then we're going to discuss it. I'm timing on my watch. You've got 30 seconds to think about it, and then we'll begin. Saurav, you're actually not going to participate. You're going to judge. You're going to judge which team has the strongest arguments, okay?
Okay.
Cool. It's going to last 5 minutes. Let's begin. Who would like to go first? Put your hand up.
I would.
Cool. Ali, off you go.
Okay, cool. So basically, there were lots of studies that showed that people who consume coffee for some period of time productive, and that's true due to caffeine level, but that in terms and in turn actually harms your body. Also, later on, the dosage doesn't work, right? So it's less effective at the later stage. For a period of time, it's like a drug, but it's not a solution, it's not a fact.
Cool. Opposing team, make a point to argue against that. Who would like to go? Dinesh, are you on the other side?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So basically, as some of the tasks and many of the tasks are required too
Side
much
note,
attention.
you need to fix your audio massively. It's quite bad. It's difficult to hear you. But can you go? We'll try listen.
So I was saying that as there are tasks, we need more focus. If we can focus on the task, that only it can be completed. And the coffee, which has the caffeine, So it basically helps us to improve the focus on the task we are doing. Uh, whether it is mostly generally when we are working. So at that time we have the issues like we generally try to sleep because it's the sleeping time. So in such situation, when we want to wake up, we want to stay awake. The coffee definitely helps to stay awake, and it definitely increases the productivity of the work that you are doing.
Okay.
That's
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Who would like to make a counterpoint against that?
Can I repeat?
Say again?
Can I do it?
No. Everyone has to go once. Who would like to argue against that? Gulam. Why is Dinesh wrong?
Basically, coffee can disturb your sleeping pattern. He's taking as an advantage that if you have to sleep, you can take coffee and you will do a lot of work, but it would also disrupt your sleeping pattern, which would ultimately harm your productivity as well. So I think you basically it applies to other every person have their different types of personality, and every person take it as a different style. For some people it would help them to boost their productivity, and for other people it would be a cause of unproductivity as their sleeping pattern would be disturbed by coffee.
Okay. Okay. So sleeping pattern would be disturbed. That's, I think, the central point. All right. Great. Who would like to argue against that, Malcolm?
Just on Gulam's point, I just want to mention that anything of too much is bad. Even if you drink too much water, you will, So much like coffee, as my teammate mentioned, it has, caffeine, which is used by some athletes actually to increase performance. So I would mention that coffee is needed so you can be able, one mentioned, you can focus, you'll be alert, and it will give you more adrenaline. Hence, this is why it's in energy drinks and so on. So it just helps you to better perform irregularly. Not
Okay.
irregularly. That wouldn't be a good word to
Okay.
use, but
No problem. No problem. Notice Malcolm is the first person to introduce actual relevant evidence. So
Yeah.
his arguments have now become the strongest. Side note, instantly. Who's next? Who would like to argue against that?
And if your company offering coffee to your employee, if he has allergy to coffee and any disease to related to coffee, how can we offer to coffee to protect his time?
Say that last part again, sorry, Ali.
I said if someone has allergy or
Mhm.
something disease, if he eat drink coffee, maybe he affected by coffee, and maybe he allergy with coffee.
Okay. Okay. So there's possible allergic reactions. Okay.
Reaction.
Okay, fine. We've got 20 seconds. One more person who hasn't spoken. Waleed.
So yeah, I will take coffee, whether if it disturbs my sleep cycle or anything else. Sleep cycle, my sleep cycle can go an hour back on an hour forth. I don't matter that. It doesn't matter if my work is going well. Suppose I am doing a work that requires me to check like continuous copy paste work. I'm doing it for an hour, and then I notice my production level is going down. So I will take the coffee to get back to my production level because for me the task done is more important rather than my sleep cycle or my little bit of caffeine consumption goes up or down.
Okay. So you're saying it's related to urgency of task. Okay, fine. That, I think everyone's spoken now, right? Was there anyone who didn't speak?
Yeah, there's Farman.
Okay, Farman, final argument from you.
Yeah, I had just an argument with Mustafa, as he said, it disturbs the sleeping schedule. First of all, if you drink coffee in a limit, then it should not affect our sleeping schedule.
So
And there is also
sleeping schedule's already been discussed. Don't repeat points, anyone. It has to be something new.
No, actually, I'm defending the point. So if someone has an argument, then I can defend that the benefits of the coffee. So there is no argument left. Everything is answered. So if anyone wants to have a question, then I can answer a new thing.
Okay.
Yeah. All three answered.
Okay. All right. So thank you, Farman. How does everyone think they did?
I don't think I did good. I had more points that I could have talked about.
Okay. Malcolm?
Right. Suppose dependency
Okay.
upon drugs is bad. So dependence upon caffeine is bad. I could have had a bit of more research. If I could do, I would have different angles. I would have understood the situation better. So I would say understanding, grabbing as much data as you could before answering would be the best approach. So obviously it's an argument. We are arguing live. That's a different case, but I do understand that I had a lot of knowledge lacking in this.
That's okay. It's so in this instance, it's I mean, okay, fine. Thank you for your feedback. Actually, it's useful to get your opinion on how you felt you did. Malcolm, did you want to say?
Similar point. I wish we had more time to research so that we can know, the effects of caffeine to a human body and other things that affect caffeine. So similar point to Ali, which we had more research. It was going to help us to give more.
Okay. So this research point, everyone has a lot more knowledge than that they used. Everyone is aware caffeine is in lots of different types of products. Caffeine is in painkillers. Caffeine is used in professional circumstances by athletes. You use caffeine. You know that there's caffeine limitations in terms of like recommended daily amounts. You know that in some circumstances, probably medical doctors advise taking caffeine in certain contexts. I don't accept the argument of knowledge. People have knowledge, it's just people don't know how to apply it effectively. Because then you could say that, well, caffeine clearly makes you more productive because it's been long established in a whole variety of sports drinks, as a simple example, that you'll find it in to help extend athletic performance. So that clearly demonstrates that coffee does make you productive because it's literally been science-backed. They wouldn't allow us to use it if it was harmful to us. It would be illegal. So clearly it's a stimulant that supports it. So there's lots and lots of data that we logically know that that's true. Everyone has, of course, anecdotal data. They can talk about their own personal experiences. It's always a persuasive argument to make to say, well, let me tell you about my personal experience of coffee and how helpful it's been in my life. And for that reason, I do think that I'm not alone in feeling that. I think that there's many thousands of more people like me that do use coffee. Coffee goes back to the days of when it was first discovered in Ethiopia or something like that, wasn't it? In the highlands, and then it was brought over to other countries. So coffee has been part of human civilization for over 1,000 years. Cocoa leaves. People chew it. I don't think I'm saying anything that's new to people, or am I? Have I said something that no one's ever heard before? Cool. Yeah. So I'm just refuting your knowledge argument. It's bullshit. It's just like, it's more about the case of your ability to use the knowledge you have and how you use it to construct arguments and think critically when under pressure, because that's where the value is. And that's a skill that you can develop. And that's a skill that you need to develop, because then in those situations, you want to have quick answers based upon the knowledge that you do have. And that's what you want to train as a muscle. So that's what we're looking for, really. And don't get me wrong, I've not done any research either. So I'm just thinking about things rather than thinking, oh, I wish I knew more. It's useful to think about, what do I know, and how is that information useful, or how could it be useful? Ali, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say, obviously, it makes sense that what you're trying to convey in here that try to best of your abilities answer in what answer right away, right? So it's like instant answering in best of your abilities, and you evaluate things quicker. I understand. It's just that I didn't know that we are training for that. Number two,
I know.
there is no fact checking. So obviously, I understand what you're trying to say is, but sometimes it could be bad for us as well. So let's suppose I'm trying to pitch a client and I tell him things out of my knowledge and then realize it's not true. And that might hurt me. So obviously
It's so I think that you'll never be penalized if you have logic built upon something that you believe, because that's always going to help you. If there's a logic behind arguments that you make, that's something that you'll be rewarded for a lot more than you'll be punished. And that's, I think, the key thing that I want to drive into this team. And there's many variations of, so this is something that you guys should all in some degree practice. There's books on critical thinking that you should look at, and there's different types of questions I've got from this. There's social media has improved communication amongst young people. Discuss the strengths and weaknesses of this based upon what you know. And we could, you can have a discussion around it, and you see how people think about it, and you see the arguments that you build in, and you see if you're able. Let's try this, okay? Who would like to go?
One question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you define in your own words what do you mean by critical thinking? And then
Sure.
we can.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, critical thinking is your ability to come up, for me, it's your ability to come up with multiple perspectives on the same question and to draw from multiple sources. So having one answer is much less powerful than saying there's 10 possible answers, but based upon all of the evidence, I think this is the most logical answer. Someone who just comes and says, I think it's just that, it's often, for me, very simplistic, and shows me they're not thinking deeply about why things might be. So when I say, oh, a keyword position has moved, if someone says to me in a call, Deepak, a keyword position has moved, we dropped down from position 1 to position 4. What's going on? Let's imagine that happens in a client call, okay? I've done no research. I don't know about this. I come to the call. If I just say, oh, we probably need to build more links, that's a shit answer. You understand? I need to say, well, there's several possibilities, Malcolm. Possibility number 1 could be that the market has moved. What I mean by that is that our competitors are potentially building links all the time. So they could have had some links that have now been rewarded in Ahrefs. And as a consequence, it's not that we've done anything wrong. It's just that they've been building links. That could be the first thing. The second thing, I just need to check if there's been perhaps a new Google update. The reason that I say that is because I know that we've spoken a little bit about EEAT and how the fact that we don't have strong authorship on our website. So that could be something that's now beginning to affect us. That could be problem number 2. Problem number 3, it could be the case that the keyword lead generation agency competitors are now beginning to run ads on that keyword where they weren't before. So actually, we haven't moved from position 1 to position 4. We're still in position 1, but now there's 3 ads that could be displaying. So we're in position 4, though, from a user experience perspective, because a lot of people don't care. They just so that could be another possible reason. The next thing is that just from memory, I know that the team haven't looked at that page directly, because strategically what we tend to do is to optimize and focus upon the keywords at position 7 to 20. So probably I need to go and have a look at the page and have a look if the content maybe needs a refresh. So what happens is that we tend to try and update pages at least once a year, which sounds like not much, but we want to show Google that the page has been refreshed because it likes content quality updates. So that could be an issue as well. The next thing that I need to look at is that we're constantly tweaking the internal linking structure. So by linking out to other pages, we might have diluted the internal links going to that page. So I'll just have a look at the... No one said anything like that to me at the weekend. People just said, oh, could be backlink. And I thought, does this make sense now, guys, what I'm saying? Do you see the problem here? I didn't say anything that was new to anyone. but people aren't using the knowledge that they have. And then you lose. I don't lose because I think, oh, I've asked my whole team about why we've moved down positions and no one has any answers. I can't rely on my team. How can I? Because no one is checking and using the knowledge that they have, because I don't know that that's something you're taught to think critically. Because once you have knowledge, it's about the application of the knowledge that you have to construct possible answers. Because it's not fact, you know, there's reasons, but you need to understand all of the possible options. So that's what I look for when I say, tell me what you think about this. I want to hear 17 different answers. And because then I know you'll probably find which one is the correct one. Does that make sense? This is what I'm looking for. This is what you need. This will make the difference in how you get paid double. Because no one, for those of you who are in the group, no one did that. And I haven't said anything that no one doesn't know. I've not said a single thing that, oh, wow, you just told me an SEO strategy I've never heard before, Deepak. But what you do need is an ability to think critically. And it's a muscle that you can practice. And it comes from these types of role play scenarios because it's about your ability to, on the spot, try and pull from and train that muscle. And that muscle is very, very weak for a lot of people. It's like, I need the answer and I need it within 5 minutes. I don't need 2 weeks to come back to me because things have changed by then and it's too late. Does this make sense? So when I ask, why has a keyword changed position? I literally expect about 17 different possible scenarios. And then I expect you to figure out which one it is. And I expect, I'm certain everyone in this entire room is aware of every scenario I've just given. Put your hand up if there's something new that I said that you learned. No. But what's novel, what's new is maybe the way that I think about the knowledge that I do have and how I use the knowledge that I have. You can Google that, Waleed. Just do a Whois lookup, right? And you don't need me to give you that answer. You can quickly double check. So this is what you must all learn to distinguish yourselves. Because your level of knowledge will not distinguish you. Because there's not so many new strategies in SEO, but what makes a difference is how people use the information they have to try and build hypotheses and to try things. So then practically, that's why when I said, oh, okay, that's how I got this whole thing when I Googled cold calling agency. And I look and I immediately think, well, what might be the problem? So I'm looking. And already I see, okay, problem number one, sales growth. No one is saying sales growth here. So that's not optimized. Problem number two, lead generation. This is not a lead generation page. It's a cold calling page. So already I understand from that its page has not been optimized. Point number three, March 21, 2018. It's not been updated apparently for 4 years. Point number four, unlock your businesses. Our agency specializes in lead generation. It's not a lead generation page. It's a cold calling agency page. Point number four, you know, like you said, you can continue. Is this making sense, guys? We've got our own listicle outranking our own website for our main keyword. It's embarrassing to me. That's Lydia's post I've just seen. Obviously, there's other things you can look at also. Is this the main page for cold calling on the website? What about the internal linking structure? It really is cold calling as a page. So why the fuck we've got the lead generation in the meta makes no sense. Then you keep looking and saying, well, yeah, this doesn't make sense. Lead generation, we should remove that. Sales growth, remove that. Lead generation, remove that. What about the length of the page? This page has hardly any content on it whatsoever. So that's also doesn't make sense because of what we know about page length. We've got 1, 2 forms, so the forms are repeated. Yet, when I went to our WhatsApp, no one said anything to me. And all of this, as you can see, took me 1 minute to look at and to understand. So that's where the value is. And that's what I want you all, because you all have the ability, but I don't think no one's really shown you or helped you understand the process. No, here we go. Also, we used to rank. So it started on Saturday. We used to rank #1 for cold calling agency, London, or cold calling agency. How can we go back to #1? I mean, no answer. Let's just, don't worry, I just want to demonstrate the difference. I was unsure, Dinesh said, so I didn't answer. I was outside buying groceries. Saurabh, you said nothing of value either. We need to check the backlinks. Yeah, I agree. Of course, we do need to check it. Don't get me wrong, but there's, discussing with. Do you see does everyone see the massive problem with the responses that I got? Put your hand up if you've got any questions, if you're unclear. Okay, so I mean this in the nicest ways now. You all need to be a lot fucking better. Because I'm not going to pay you guys more if you're unable to do stuff like that. And it's for your own good. It's not for me, because everyone in this room, without exclusion, has been doing SEO for at least 1 year. But I recognize that you've not been shown the critical thinking part. Perhaps you've not been shown that before. Now, how you learn that, I need to figure out how to teach it to you, because it's something that we're taught in school. My entire education in the UK was, we don't care about knowledge. We care about your ability to construct arguments. What is your opinion based upon this text? What do you think and why? Knowledge wasn't really something that was measured. It was a tool, but it was not the real weapon. It was, I want you to show me how you think. It doesn't matter, Deepak, if your answer's totally fucking wrong, if there's a logic behind how you built it. And I can see how you constructed your argument based upon the knowledge that you did have and the information you had available to you. I want to see you do that in an essay, and now I want to see you do it under pressure when I question you. And your ability to progress in life will be determined by that, because that's how all the decisions are made, right? Because I look to my room and I think, oh, I need a quick answer because I need to make quick decisions. But that's how you time travel. So when I say time travel, if I didn't say anything, it might take people 2 fucking weeks to come to an answer. But if you're able to activate the knowledge, you can come up with it in 2 fucking minutes. 2 minutes, 2 weeks. That's how some people make 100 times more than other people, because they instantly say, well, Deepak, I had a quick look and already I can see that the meta title is unoptimized. If the meta title is unoptimized, logically, I know that no one's looked at that page, because that should be the first thing that people check. So probably the entire page needs to be revamped. Deepak, I now know that that's one of our main pages because lead generation is big. I now know that probably all of the other pages are not optimized. Deepak, logically, that means that you're paying everyone several $1,000s and no one's doing their fucking job. So why do you pay these people, Deepak? Why not get someone at 1/3 of the price and you just spend 1 hour and we can go through it and you can probably produce the same result? It's not illogical for me to come to those conclusions. Does it make sense? You might say, Deepak, you're wrong, but can you follow my logic? This is the main page. No one looked at the main page. The page has not been updated since 2018. I've got all of these SEOs that tell me about their experience, that want their salary requests, that want their pay rises. I think, but you're not doing your fucking job. You're all capable of it, because I didn't tell you anything you don't know. But what you must practice is your ability to use the knowledge that you have that's immediately available to you to construct logical arguments, which is why the coffee thing I spoke about, because I wanted to understand how you think. And that's what you need to train. And probably in India, Pakistan, I shouldn't be generalist because it happens in the West as well. People don't fucking talk to you about the importance of this stuff. That's what people pay for. That's why Carla was happy to pay us at Dar Global £7,000 a month for web development, even though she knew I had no idea about React. But she said, Deepak, I see the way you think. I think you can figure it out. I'm going to pay you. That was what got me the role. She said, I see the way you think. I think you can. She said, can you do it? I can solve your problems. Because and that's why I run the business, guys. Does that make sense? Because every day I'm presented with problems that I've not yet encountered, but I need to use the logic, to use the knowledge I have to come up with solutions, which is what I'm trying now, because I see that I do think I've got a really talented team, but there's this gap that I think if I've done my job correctly, you never knew existed until now. Because people aren't teaching you this stuff, that it's not about the fucking knowledge. I know more about everyone in this room with SEO, even though I know less than all of you. Does that make sense? Because it's about the critical thinking. That's the skill. That's the superpower. That's what will get you paid. That's why I'll walk into rooms and people will say, you could have been a web developer. The way that you understand things, it's just logic. Work on building logic and understanding how to, that's why debating and constructing arguments and saying, argue for coffee, now argue against coffee, now argue against yourself, try and put yourself into both positions and spend 5 minutes arguing for why coffee's great, 10-second break, now argue for why coffee is bad. And you're thinking, what's the fucking point of this? Because it matters when it comes to any new situation you come up against where you have to solve a problem. That's what's going to get you guys fucking paid. Figuring out how to do it. Because when I say to you, I need 100 leads a day, the answer isn't obvious. Clearly, it's a difficult thing because most people can't do it. That's the reality. We're not doing it. We've got a good team. We do have a good team, but it's hard. So you have, and it's not about knowledge because all of the knowledge fucking exists. It's about application of knowledge. It's about how you use the information you have available. And the way that you do that is you practice. So there's a book apparently that's meant to be really good that I've not read yet called Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman that talks about how to learn critical thinking, thinking fast and slow. And then obviously you use ChatGPT, but this is something that you should practice, debating. Debate with each other, debate, one of you argue for why you can debate, you can give each other SEO topics and say, debate why just with link building, you can build a website even that's got lorem ipsum dim sum on the content. Debate why link building is more important than technical SEO. I would say, why do some websites that have shit SEO still get way more leads than us? These things to debate, because it's about the thinking that's important. The answer is actually not that important, because once you can learn to think like that, I know I can give that person unique problems and that person will come up with solutions. Does that make sense? Any questions? Yeah. Cool. Let's now just finish up by going through people's main takeaways from today. No one has any insights or any takeaways from today. Oh, God. This is when I worry. Let's go Dinesh first.
Yeah, so as you said about the critical thinking, yes, as you said, everyone has the knowledge, but it's all about how you present that, how you arrange it, and how you present. That is most important. Just a minute. Yes.
No, okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, who would like to go next? Let's go with Saurav and then Ali Rind and then Farman and then Ali Yassin. Saurav.
So my main key takeaway is like whatever comes to us. So we have the capability to have some to do critical thinking about the whatever comes to us, right? So if you go to that issues and deep down and analyze it, so we can find out if we all know that we have that knowledge, SEO knowledge. We all know that, but we are not implementing or we are not utilizing it. So we are not utilizing it. We are maybe somehow we are ignoring it.
Yeah.
So we need to concentrate on the work, to be honest, because we do have the knowledge, but we are not utilizing it in a proper way. So we have to, whatever comes to us, we need to do the critical thinking. Like you said, whatever you said is absolutely correct, and we need to. it comes to us by practicing it, by debating all this. We can get this by eventually time. By time we can buy all this. Yeah.
Good.
So
Guys, I promise you, you have a beautiful advantage of going now from 0 to 1 if this is not something you practice. Even if you do 1 week, 1 month of intense practice, you'll get so much fucking better than half and most of the people around you. Does that make sense? Just spend 1 month intensively debating with someone each day. Today, what's the topic? Coffee. Tomorrow, what's the topic? Cigarettes. Tomorrow, what's the topic? Cancer. Tomorrow, what's the topic? Link building versus on-page SEO. Tomorrow, what's the topic? And get used to like using your knowledge, using your knowledge, using your knowledge. You will begin to push past people so fucking quickly because everyone pays problem solvers. Does that make sense? That's why we win the DAR Global work. Carla just thinks Pearl Lemon are going to solve my fucking problems. And that's what I care about because we got a lot of problems. I don't really know how to solve it, but I want someone who can solve it, who can come to me with logical answers and explain it to me. Ali, you're practicing it probably every day when you get on these fucking phone calls with them. Same thing, Malcolm. Pixel Bill don't give a shit. He just wants leads. Solve my fucking problems. Give me leads. Focus. They all want the same fucking thing. So you know, God and humanity and entrepreneurs love a problem solver. I love problem solvers. You love problem solvers. People are like, just give it to Ali, give it to Lydia. She'll figure it out. So great, Saurabh. So practice it, guys. Really intensively practice it for a couple of weeks, and it'll make such a big difference in your success. Let's go now to who was next? Let's go, Farman. You got your hand up.
So the critical thinking is a skill. The main takeaway is that, and not only it will help in the job, but also in our entire career. As you said that how you convince the global with that skill. So that's the thing that we should work on, and I'll make sure that I will start developing that skill that will help me not only in the job but also in my entire career. And the second thing here that was interesting for me is that we should do daily regular debates for different topics, especially on the on-page SEO, and then we can just go through the GST and check the errors, how page is not performing, why this site is not generating leads, why this site is generating leads with less clicks, and this site has more clicks was not generating leads. What can be the actual reason? Then this kind of debate can really help us in developing the skill and generating leads as well.
Yeah, exactly. You know, apply it obviously at work so it feels relevant. So thank you, Farman. I think that's great. You guys, debate with. Yeah, go ahead, Malcolm. See you later, buddy. You guys can debate and do it with work and obviously whatever else you prefer. So Ali, let's go to you.
Yeah, for me, when I was studying computer science, I remember this notation called Big O. That's basically you have a very complex problem and you make it, you reduce the size of the complexity, but the result is same. So basically you reduce the steps. So that requires lots of critical thinking. And I agree with you that we have not been taught that. And if we haven't practiced it.
Yeah.
And that's evident, honestly. So yeah, my more than my key takeaways, I would say my plans for this would be, honestly, I'd rather grab anyone and start talking to the person, even if that's my mirror, and start talking to that person in the mirror and really practice this because it's important. And I understand from my trainings that I'm getting that these things actually are putting me and will put me far above anyone else, honestly, even if it's a different company or if it's in my life. These things actually matter, and I shouldn't just ignore them and just consider this another lecture. So yeah, that would that it's fucking very, very important to practice this skill.
Yeah, guys, for people, especially you guys, I'll be honest, as my fellow Pakistanis, Indians, you will beat so many people around you if you practice this, because most people don't think like this. Same reason, if you remember Asteria, Ali, our old client, they They pay. So we had a client who used to pay us £20,000 a month. Okay. Why? Because a fear, the guy who ran it said, I just feel like you're going to solve whatever problem I have, Deepak. Because he'd be like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I'd be like, well, this solution, that solution, we could do this, we could do that, we could do this, we could do that. And that's that people will pay you to solve problems, but you must practice. Most people don't fucking practice. Who do you know in your entire network that's ever practiced debating? Probably fucking no one. And they're the same fucking people that are in these WhatsApp groups. Guys, why is this? I don't know. Could be links, could be that. And you think, I'm not going to fucking pay any of these fucking guys. What they're like, does that make sense? I want fucking warriors around me. We all do. We want, you know, he or she who solves most problems will be rewarded in life. In life. Success will come to you if you can just be like, don't worry, I'll figure it out. Why is this a problem? I've already got instantly 17 ideas for what I could do to approach this and what might be the problems. And I want you all to be better SEOs than me. You already are. I just need you to practice applying aggressively the knowledge that you have. Aggressive application of knowledge. People don't need more knowledge. They need more application. You don't need more knowledge. You need more application. The knowledge you have, how do you apply it? And it's a muscle and it's probably weak. So doing this is going to be painful. And your answers to begin with are going to be shit. But that doesn't matter because shit, you shine shit enough and you can turn it into fucking gold. It's just how it is. But you practice. So it's why when I say, why is this keyword dropped? I want people to just attempt to have answers, to have at least 3 answers, to be able to look and instantly analyze and be like, cool, now I'm going to go into Google Search Console. Now I'm going to have a look at this. Now I'm going to see the click-through rate. Now I'm going to have a look at that. Now I'm going to have a look at that. Now I'm going to have a look at that. There's Deepak, for cold calling agency, there's 7 possible things. To be safe, I'm going to fix all of them. It's going to take me 2 days. Boom. The day after, I start getting 10 more leads. I will double your fucking salary probably, won't I? Do you see like how it makes a difference? And remember, I said nothing that you didn't already know. Nothing. I told you nothing new. But it was that quick memory retrieval. How quickly can I retrieve knowledge from my database? And that's by improving your RAM, your processing power to quickly go and pick this information, pick that information. But people don't practice. They practice building their fucking SSD, but they don't practice improving their RAM. People pay for RAM. People pay for processing power. That's what people really look for. Storage is storage. You pay $3.99 a month for it on the fucking cloud or whatever. But you pay fucking Mac for, oh, it's got 64 gigabyte RAM. That means I can practice that. I emphasize this because I see it's so lacking in it. That's why I want you guys to leave fucking voice notes, because it forces you to say something meaningful. It's like leave a 3-minute voice note in the end of week group, because you're going to be forced to say something that makes sense and you have to think about it, and it's building that muscle. That's why Ali Rind, I'm like, fucking communicate with voice notes more, dude. It's not for me, it's for you. You will not get the success that you want in life if you're not able to fucking do this, bro. Do you understand? Because if you know, even if you have 10 times the knowledge of fucking Ghulam, but Ghulam is able to use his RAM much quicker, Ghulam's going to be the problem solver. And again, as Chris Rock, it's you against you. Because maybe you guys are motivated now. Be prepared to practice this by your fucking self. Obviously do it in teams, and I hope that you work together, but practice it. It's very clear probably to all of you that Ali Yassin has this in a more developed fashion than a lot of the others in the room. So work with him. And Ali, of course, has got his own goals for things that he needs to do, because he's like, well, I want to fucking be better. And you're all capable of it. So I'll leave it at that. Never again do I want to see such bad answers to questions that I put in the WhatsApp group that demonstrate such a lack of critical thinking from everyone. And I include Ali Yassin in this now, because I didn't tell you anything new. And it took me 1 minute to come up with all of those answers you just saw. Give me another 1 minute and I'll come up with another 6 answers. and I'll say, I didn't tell you anything that was new. I pay all of you a salary to fix these problems for me. There will be a limitation. I will not pay you more if I discover problems like this, because I'll say, well, why? Why? It doesn't make sense. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when I say you all have the ability to change your lives, work on stuff like this, because I bet you no other company is teaching their team to do shit like this. They just teach you to fill in these fucking spreadsheets and to fucking update 1,000 listicles. That's not going to get you. It won't get you paid. Does it make sense? It's that. Well, how do I take it to the next level? What do I do? What knowledge do I have? That's it, guys, for today. Thank you. I appreciate you. We'll be back to do some more SEO training later on in this week, probably on Wednesday. But between now and then, I really hope to hear from you guys what you're going to do to help build critical thinking into everything that you do. Because as I think Farman was saying, and Ali, it has applications for everything. Deepak, I want more money. Why? I'll come back to you. Okay. No problem. Because I've been working hard. Everyone fucking works hard, bro. Because I've improved the rankings. Yeah, you and 10 other SEOs. Do you see what I'm saying? It helps everything. It helps everything because you know. So that's it. Was you going to say something, Farman? Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have any good book for critical thinking that you think we should read?
Critical thinking. So thinking fast and slow, but the challenge is that this is active process. You need to do it with people. You need to debate, or you need to debate with yourself. You need to put a clock, 5 minutes. I've got 5 minutes to argue why women can't drive. Now I've got 5 minutes to argue why men can't drive. And you just got to practice coming up with as many arguments as possible. 5 minutes of saying why all you need to build a website is links. 5 minutes of saying all you need to build a website is technical SEO and no links. 5 minutes to spot as many problems as you can with one page on a website. Anything less than 1 minute, one problem every 10 seconds, anything less than 6 clear problems is unacceptable. I failed. What else could it have been? All right, let's go again. New page. You have to practice it. That's why critical thinking is quite difficult, because it's not about passive intake of information. It's active. It's really, really active. And that's the difference. It's not knowledge. It's application. So that's why debating is such a good form of developing critical thinking rapidly. Because when you're forced to argue, okay. If you're forced to argue SEO is a waste of time and you need to argue why SEO is dead, that's going to be difficult or make you think. That's the value. So look at all of your beliefs and think and try and argue for the opposite side. Stuff like that. Do stuff like that. Be like, right, SEO is dead. There's no point working for international companies. Fucking whatever. All of your beliefs, and argue the opposite of them, and come up. You need to come up with at least several points. And then you'll practice and you'll get better. So I don't know what books. I know of that one. Ask ChatGPT. But the way that I learned was through my schooling. Everything was about debating, and everything was about, we would have seminars of 10 of us, and we'd spend 8 hours a week, 2 hours a day just debating. We'd read a poem, because I studied English literature. So we'd read a poem that was 10 lines long, and then we'd spend 50 minutes debating it about what is this interpretation? What could it mean? What about this? And I say to people, that's my power, because I was taught to think critically. It was all about debating. Not all about debating, but all about what's your opinion on this. So that's where you can join together and say, cool, let's both together read a piece of text and let's discuss it, our thoughts and our opinions on it and our perspectives and why that. Read something from John Mueller about his thoughts on SEO and then discuss it with fucking Ali Rind. What are your thoughts about it? What do I think about it? Why might this be true? Why might not that be true? Obviously, if people aren't there to do it with you, you need to do it with yourself. But it has to be an active process, Farman. Has to be active, because otherwise you won't really build a muscle. Ali?
Yeah, it's basically regarding it's not about this, but because the meeting is about to end. So my question is, it's about understanding my CEO better, right? So like when I make a mistake, or when you're telling us something, let's suppose you are now talking about the critical thinking, right?
Yeah.
And we all decide, okay, we're gonna set up a group, we're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna do it. Or would your reaction be in this scenario? Why the fuck are you thinking now when I said it? Why didn't you think about it before I said it? So
It would.
in your eyes, is it good that we are actioning now, or is it bad that we don't action it at all?
I think it's good that you're actioning it now. I think that it only hurts me if I get angry and say, why didn't you do this 10 years ago? I think that most people suffer in life from actually having weak teachers. I believe that more and more. I think it's about the teacher. I think there's no limitation on people's fucking ability. It's just they've not been shown the way. There isn't anyone in this room who doesn't fucking work hard. There isn't anyone in this room who doesn't want it. There isn't anyone in this room who has some mental inability to be successful. You've just not been given the tools because you've had bad teachers, including me, because I've only figured this out more recently. And I thought that, well, I keep running into the same wall. I need to teach better to understand how people can see the wall that's in front of them that they never understood was there. I know that probably fucking iCreatives guys where you work, they don't teach you shit. It's just about how many listicles can you do or whatever it is. Like that's not the value. It's not the value at all. That's how you go from $300 to $350 to $400 to $500. But that's not how you go from 300 to 3,000. Because it's that outcome that we want. And actually it always involves that critical thinking part. That's how I've been paid what I've been paid in my career. No one ever cared that paid me a lot of money about any technical process whatsoever. Does that make sense? People don't ever pay for that. People pay for outcomes. And in absence of knowing how to get there, they pay the person who they think can lead them there. So it's happened to me twice, really, with Dar Global now and Asteria and DVC. They didn't know how to get to the outcome, and they didn't know anyone who'd personally done it, but they trusted that I could probably figure it out. And don't get me wrong, it's not that I've always been successful. I've failed way more because Asteria you've never heard of because they went. DVC, most of you have never heard of because they went. But I carry that. I try and carry that value with me. I want to be the man that goes into the room and say, he's going to solve our problems. And that's what you want to be. And it will become self-evident who that person is because everyone will begin to see it. Ali Abeid is that person to a degree right now, right? Because he's producing results with this cold email agency. It's like, cool, that's a result. And it's not about people's knowledge. It's not because he has more knowledge. It's about how you apply the knowledge all of you guys have. And it begins, and it seems far removed, but it begins with the critical thinking. Critical thinking. So practice that. And that will change the trajectory of your career. I think anyway, from what I've seen. It's a big distinction of what they don't teach from what I see in Pakistan and India. They don't teach it at all. And it's like in my university education, that was the biggest thing. They didn't care about knowledge. They said knowledge is an easy thing to require and it'll be replaced by fucking the internet anyway. Pay for critical thinking. But how do you think? And that's also the same thing when I went to work at Deloitte and I went to work in the city. The reason I used to work for a company in financial services and I was an English literature student. So I was the only one, Deloitte, I don't know, some of you heard and some of you don't, but I was the only one from an arts background that got the role in the London office, in the most prestigious office, in the most difficult department. And I had no formal financial background because those companies just care about the way that you think. And they're like, everything else will teach you. But teaching critical thinking is quite tough, I think. And that's why it is tough. It's debating and it's stuff like that. And people don't often see the direct reward from it. But there is a huge reward. There's a huge payoff. And just begin that journey. And within 1 week already you'll be better if you've never done it before. And that's the beautiful thing about it. You're gonna accelerate real fast, real quick. Right, guys, I'm gonna let you go. Thank you. I appreciate you, and I'll catch you in a couple of days. See you guys.